From True Detective magazine, December 1948, Peekaboo Pennington, private life snooper or detective, with highlights as they may relate to the Zodiac Killer. Pennington's placid, friendly countenance is more suggestive of a doctor or minister than a detective. A very understanding woman, Mrs. Pennington often accompanies her husband, as shown below, when he works on a case. Peekaboo Pennington, above, you can depend on his honesty, says prominent lawyer. Pennington broke into national prominence when newspapers flashed this picture of him comforting a UN delegate. It's hard for anyone to realize that the quiet 150-pound Pennington, with his 5'8" frame, would hide in closets, splinter doors into lumberyard pieces, check beds, flash pictures, and then relate with precise accuracy in courts the exact details he witnessed. His stocky carriage is marked with scars, but not from detecting. They're reminders of early days spent on his father's extensive Kansas cattle ranches. A bucking horse, an entanglement with a barbed wire fence, a raging bull. All of these have taken their toll. His walk is a bounce, a loping, bow-legged gait, attesting to the many years he spent in the saddle. It was on that occasion that Pennington was tagged Peekaboo by the Call Bulletin Star reporter Jack McDowell and its former city editor Fred Walker. But nicknames are the rule with the Penningtons. Mrs. Pennington is Mrs. Peekaboo. Bill Jr., Peekaboo Jr. Peekaboo's brother, Uncle Boo, and Peekaboo's father in his heyday, Charles Thomas, Adamus, Christopher, Holmes, Kidwally, Cadwally, Wallaca Jones Button Pennington. Back in 1849, his great-grandfather, James Pennington, bore the nickname of Calfskin Jim. Peekaboo has waited as long as 48 hours in his car for the appearance of a subject. Sometimes, to gain the confidence of a female suspect, he must entertain her and buy her gifts. He and Mrs. Pennington have been married for 25 years. His wife is a very understanding woman. Because his actual appearance is so unlike the hundreds of newspaper photographs taken of him, Peekaboo goes about his work looking like the everyday businessman. He asks and gets a substantial retainer before he starts on a case, but that's just for a preliminary shadow job. Recently, he was paid more than $10,000 for 1 week's work on a famous Hollywood case. And shortly there will be a Peekaboo comic strip and a detective radio program featuring him and his family. Too often the concept of how a door-smashing private detective should look includes gorilla-like arms, bushy eyebrows, shoulders resembling the side of a barn, and pile-driver legs. He also should have on his person revolvers, handcuffs, and a police whistle, and carry microphones and recording devices. Peekaboo has none of the characteristics named, nor does he depend upon any of the aforementioned equipment. He only has his feet and his camera. Oh yes, and a keen brain. His placid face, containing 2 friendly blue eyes, resembles the countenance of either a county physician or a minister. His talk is a soft drawl, soothing and relaxing. He has the voice of a psychiatrist. Despite his frail appearance and his 47 years, and the facts he writes poetry and composes songs in his spare time, Peekaboo is a fighter at heart. His hands are broad, solid, and heavy, capable of squeezing a strength-gripping machine up to 290. The average man will do 120. He believes in his work. He has no religious inhibitions regarding his job. He feels no anguish or guilt when he bursts in upon a startled couple, What he sees means nothing to him. He reports only to his client. When a case is closed, it is filed and forgotten. My son Bill, 25, speedboat racer and former football star, University of California, is now associated with me and my work. He was a B-29 pilot in the last war, now gets quite a kick out of being a private eye. However, he says it doesn't have the thrills, some not so pleasant, that the B-29s give you. Some of his pals call him Peekaboo Jr., but he doesn't mind it. There's more to the story, especially in regards to his son Bill Pennington and his business partner Bill Bennett and their ties to Nevada casinos, but this is not to suggest either of these men were in any way connected with the Zodiac.
The left sketch is consistent with the recollection of witness Linda Jensen, who is at Lake Berryessa the day of the stabbings. The right is the police sketch, which went out of the Zodiac after Paul Stine's murder. Hunting the Zodiac is like searching for a star in a galaxy of similar stars. In my opinion, the Zodiac read back issues of detective magazines, learning from them and choosing elements he could use in his words and crimes. It appears he read the Peekaboo Pennington article. There is no evidence that Peekaboo Jr., Uncle Boo, or any of the men associated with the Penningtons or Nevada casinos had anything to do with the Zodiac Killer.
Thank you for watching. We really appreciate your views, your likes, and your comments.